Hello everybody, this is Pastor Green. We're doing another Bible study, 1 Samuel chapter 28. If you'd like me to speak at your church, or if you have any questions, you can send me an email, or you can just comment below with your question. 1 Samuel 28 and verse 1. And it came to pass in those days that the Philistines gathered their armies together for warfare to fight with Israel. And Achish said to David, Know that assuredly thou shalt go up with me to battle, thou and thy men. And David said to Achish, Surely thou shalt not know what thy servant can do. And Achish said to David, Therefore I will make the keeper of mine head forever. Now Samuel was dead, and all Israel had lamented him, and buried him in Ramah, even in his own city. And Saul had put away all those familiar spirits, the wizards, out of the land. Familiar spirits is basically talking to the dead. Most of the time when you talk to the dead, you're talking to some kind of a demon, but there's some type of thing where you can talk to just basically dead people at this time. So all throughout the Bible it talks about familiar spirits. That's what people do seances, to try to talk to the dead. It says here, over the whole earth where there are men, it found contention invisible dead. It is tempting to call humanity's oldest conception. There's certainly no horde, no tribe, no people in which does not have abundant ideas about the dead. Man has been assessed by them. They have been enormously important for him. The action of the dead upon living has been an essential part of their life. It says here, there was a meeting to contact the dead through a medium. And there was a bunch of people there like Charles Darwin. You can see what it says here. And it says here Charles Darwin and a couple of his friends were all getting together and try to basically reach the dead. So there was actually a Darwin seance in 1874. It says, And the Philistines gathered themselves together and came and pitched in Salem. And Saul gathered all Israel together, and they pitched in Gilboa. And when Saul saw the host of the Philistines, he was afraid, and his heart greatly trembled. And so Saul inquired of the Lord. The Lord answered him not, neither by dreams, nor by Urim, nor by the prophets. If you remember a couple chapters ago, before Samuel died, he told Saul, because you've done all these wicked things, the Lord has left you. The Lord is not going to listen to you anymore. He's not going to hear your prayers. He's not going to do what you asked him to do. And so Saul's here shocking that God's not talking to him. And you can see here on the chest, there's this thing called a Urim and a Thummim. And basically the way it works is there's a black stone and a white stone. It says the Urim and the Thummim stones were used by the Hebrew high priest for divination, an act of seeking knowledge through indirect means from God. The Urim, which is a white, it translates to a curse or a fault or a guilt, or in other words, no. And the Thummim, which is black, it translates to a light or truth, innocence, or yes. And you can see here, God usually uses prophets to talk to you, at least in the Old Testament. But there's also these things called false prophets, which are people that say they're talking about God, but they're really not. They're just making things up. And God says that He sends His prophets. So there's basically 8 different ways that God will speak to you. 1, He uses the Bible to speak to you. 2, He uses our inner voice or our conscience to speak to you. Number 3, He uses dreams or visions. Number 4, He speaks in an audible voice. He speaks to you directly. 5, He speaks with prophecy. 6, with a fleece. So we ask God for a demonstration or a specific sign. 7, with different circumstances. And 8, with miracles, signs, and wonders. 1 Corinthians 10 says, For we know in part, we prophesy in part. But when the which is the perfect has come, then that which is part shall be done away. There's a lot of argument about what this perfect is. Some say that the perfect is Jesus. Some say the perfect is the Bible, which is basically what I believe. And some say the perfect is this entity is going to come down and give us all the answers. You can look here. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John talks about the life of Christ from His birth to His ascension. And then Acts is when many of the New Testament books were written. But I believe that the Bible is the perfect, because now we can look at the Bible, we can see what God has said, because even prophecy was already written, so we can see what's going to happen. Samuel 28 verse 7. Then said Saul to his servants, Seek me a woman that has a familiar spirit, that I might go to her and inquire of her. And his servant said unto him, Behold, there's a woman that has a familiar spirit at Ednor. And Saul disguised himself and put on another raiment, and he went with 2 men with him. And they came to the woman by night, and he said, Pray thee, divine to me by the familiar spirits, and bring me him up, who I shall speak the name of thee. He basically hid himself because he knows that the Lord doesn't want to talk to him. So maybe he thinks if he disguises himself, he can talk to God. You know, the Old Testament saints did not go to heaven at death. The Old Testament saints went to Abraham's bosom, or paradise. If you remember the beggar and Lazarus, and one of the benefactors of the cross, Luke, and the Old Testament saints gathered to the people. It's kind of hard to explain, but it seems that inside the earth there's a place called Abraham's bosom, or paradise, and there's a place called the torment in Hades. And so all the Old Testament saints would go to Abraham's bosom, and all the people that were unbelievers would go to the torment in Hades. After Christ died and rose again, he went down to paradise and brought those people up into heaven. Nobody in the Old Testament got to go to the third heaven. They went to Abraham's bosom until after Jesus was resurrected, and then he brought them up to paradise. And it seems like at the end of the world, everybody from the New Testament on is going to go to the lake of fire. So at the great white throne judgment, the people that are non-believers are going to get sent from heaven to the lake of fire to be basically punished for all their sins. Samuel 28 verse 9. Women said unto him, Behold, thou knowest what Saul has done, and how he's cut off those that have familiar spirits and the wizards out of the land. Wherefore layest the snare in my life and caused me to die. This lady's saying, I will do this for you, but you have to understand that Saul got rid of all the familiar spirits. And by me doing this for you, I might die. So this is a big price. And Saul swore to her by the Lord, saying, As the Lord liveth, there shall be no punishment happen to thee for this thing. He's promising you, I won't, Saul, which is him, won't hurt you because of this. I'll make sure of it. Then said the woman, Whom shall I bring unto thee? And he said, Bring me up Samuel. And when the woman saw Samuel, she cried with a loud voice. And the woman spoke to Saul, saying, Why hast thou deceived me? For thou art Saul. So she knew as soon as he asked for Samuel that the guy she was talking to was Saul. And the king said unto her, Be not afraid, for what sawest thou? The woman said unto Saul, I saw gods ascending out of the earth. And he said unto her, What form is he of? And she said, An old man cometh up, and he is covered with a mantle. And Saul perceived that this was Samuel, and he stood with his feet to the ground and bowed himself. Saul's basically saying, Samuel knew all the answers. I kind of didn't treat him very well. Maybe if I bow down to him, he's going to forgive me. And Samuel said to Saul, Why hast thou bequeathed me to bring me up? And Saul answered, I am sorely distressed, for the Philistines made war against me, and God has departed from me, and he answers me no more, neither by prophets nor by dreams. Therefore I have come to thee, that thou mayest make known to me what I should do. Saul saying, We're going to lose this war, so I need you to give me an answer because God's not talking to me. Question is, why won't God answer your prayers? Are you doing something wrong? Isaiah 59 says, Behold, the Lord's hand is not shortened, that it cannot save, neither his ear heavy, that it cannot hear. But your iniquities have separated between you and your God, and your sins have hid his face from you, that he will not hear. And your hands are defiled with blood, and your fingers with iniquity. Your lips have spoken lies, your tongue has muttered pervasiveness. None calleth for justice, nor any pleadeth of truth. They trust in vanity, and speak lies, they conceive mischief, and bring forth iniquity. 2 Corinthians 7, If I shut up heaven, there be no rain, or if I command the locusts to devour the land, if I send pestilence among my people, if my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves, and pray, and seek my face, and turn from their wicked ways, then I will heal from heaven, and I will forgive their sins, and I will heal their land. God's telling these people, you want God to talk to you, you got to honor God. You got to put God first. If you put God first, then I'm going to hear what you have. I'm going to help you out. But if not, what's the point? James 4 says, Ye lust and have not, ye kill and desire to have, and cannot obtain. Ye fight and war, ye have not because ye ask not. Ye ask and receive it not, because you miss, and you may consume it among your lust. He's saying, if you don't ask God for something, how's He going to give it to you? You have to ask God so He can give it to you. So the question is, why won't God answer my prayers? There may be sin in your life so that God won't hear your prayers. Or maybe you're asking for the wrong reason, maybe to consume your lusts. Or maybe God has an even better answer coming later. I want this, but maybe a week or two later you'll get something that's even better. 1 Samuel 28:16. Then said Samuel, Wherefore did thou ask of me, seeking the Lord is departed from thee, has become thine enemy? Ask the Lord has done unto him as he spoke from me, but the Lord has rent the kingdom out of your hand, and given it to your neighbor, even to David. Samuel's like, why are you calling for me? I've already told you God left you. I've already told you the kingdom was given to David. You've already had your answer. Why are you coming to me again? Because thou obeyest not the voice of the Lord, nor executed his first wrath upon Amalek. Therefore has the Lord done this thing to thee that day. He's saying, Saul, I told you what to do. I told you what God said, but you didn't listen. So if you're not going to listen, why would God keep talking to you? Moreover, the Lord will also deliver Israel with thee into thine hands of the Philistines. And tomorrow shall thy sons be with me. And the Lord also shall deliver the host of Israel to the hands of the Philistines. He's saying, Saul, I'll give you an answer. The Philistines are going to devour you. And tomorrow, you and your kids are going to be in the underworld. God's going to deliver Israel to the hands of the Philistines. Then Saul fell straightway all to the earth, and was sore afraid because of the words of Samuel. And there was no strength to him, for he had not eaten no bread for days, nor at night. And the woman came to Saul, and she saw that he was sore troubled. And she said unto him, Behold, thy handmaid has obeyed thy voice, and has put my life in your hands. And I have hearkened unto thy words which thou spokest unto me. Now therefore I pray thee, hearken also to the voice of thine handmaid, and let set a morsel of bread before thee, and eat, and thou mayest have strength when thou goest thy way. But he refused, and he said, I will not eat. But the servants together with the woman compelled him, and he hearkened unto their voice. So he arose from the earth, and he sat upon the bed. And the woman had a fatted calf in the house, and she hastened and killed it, and took flour and kneaded it, and did bake unleavened bread. And she brought it before Saul and before his servants, and they did eat, and they rose up, and they went away that night. Well guys, that's the video. I appreciate you guys watching. I'll be having another video coming out next Sunday. If you have any questions, you can send me an email, you can comment below. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, click the bell, tell your friends about me, all those different fun things. I'm going to put a couple links on the screen. The bottom right is going to be the 1 Samuel Bible study. The top left is going to be the YouTube, or the Genesis Bible study. And the bottom left is going to be a video YouTube things you're going to like. I appreciate you guys watching. Have yourself a great day.